When I was like 3 or 4 years old, I felt determined that in the future, I would be an engineer. I was very interested in the architecture of large structures, specifically bridges and skyscrapers, and I read a few chapter books about bridges. I also constantly browsed the internet, learning about the craziest, weirdest, and most unorthodox bridges in the world. Then I turned four. Then I went into 4K, and I decided that I wanted to be an astronomer. That I was destined to be an astronomer. I did the same thing in terms of studying that I did with astronomy, that I did with bridges, except that instead now I started writing books. So I started writing. They were not really books; they're just short stories. They were around 1,000 words long, and I tried to sell them outside of my house. Like there was this one day that I was sick, and I wrote a small astronomy book, and I went outside. I went to the corner of my yard and I said 25 cents. And I had to handwrite them all myself. Like I wasn't reprinting them, so I hand wrote everything. It was kind of funny. I don't have them anymore though. Then I turned 7, and then I decided I wanted to be a meteorologist. I did pretty much the same thing, except I didn't write books. But yeah, I decided that now I want to be a meteorologist. Then I turned 10. Then I went into 5th grade, and I decided I wanted to be an MLB pitcher. Now, realizing that I am a terrible, terrible pitcher, I decided that that is a terrible, terrible idea. Actually, I played baseball. I played baseball when I was in 4th and 5th grade, and I pitched one time. And the one time that I did pitch, I struck out one person, and then I threw the ball behind a player twice. Good thing I decided against that. Then I decided after that to be an astronomer. I kept wanting to be an astronomer for like 4 years, all the way till about the 3rd month of my freshman year. Then I wanted to be a political figure, so I wanted to be president. Obviously, everyone's had an experience like that in their lives. My presidential slogan was #Billy2044. About 5 months passed on, and then I decided I wanted to be an astronomer. And I know I want to be an astronomer, so the fact that even the most general part of my future is just so out of whack and has been for my entire life, it is crazy to think just like about my future. It's crazy to think what my future is going to look like. I have no idea. Like even I only know the very most general. Like I only know that I want to be an astronomer. That's all I know at the moment. But for the rest of my future, even though I plan like crazy, we just don't know what's going to happen. Think of this when you put 7.8 billion other humans into perspective. Think of how unpredictable it is. And also remember that this is my YouTube channel, this is my podcast, and because Billy's doing this, that means we're going to be looking into the future of 7.8 billion separate humans, because that's a great idea. The future of humanity is far more uncertain than the future of Earth, of course. Earth being an inanimate object can be predicted quite easily with science. But we're just going to give some examples today, just examples that I created myself. So number 1 is all of our futures are based, well, first of all, let's get into this. All of our futures are based entirely on the advancement of our technology. They can be entirely attributed to technology. So this century is going to be almost entirely determined by the technological advancement. One of these futures could result in our extinction. Of course, I'm going to start with the least optimistic one. Cambridge University's Cambridge Project projects a 19% chance of humans going extinct in the 21st century, with around a 30% chance of extinction in the next 5 centuries. The main events attributing to this strikingly high risk would be molecular nanotechnology weapons at 5%, superintelligent AI at 5%, any wars including civil wars at 4%, and an engineered pandemic at 2%, a nuclear war at 1%, nanotechnologies at 0.5%, natural pandemic at 0.05%, and nuclear terrorism at 0.03%. I'm surprised that climate change is not on there, but it is what it is. Based on the categories, you can see that anthropogenic omnicide is it's also human-caused self-extinction, is the likely event if we were to go extinct this century. The high risk of extinction in such a short period of time is significantly higher than the centuries past. This is all because of technology. All because of technology. We are irresponsible with our technology, at least right now. Another of the many possibilities, many possibilities of our future is actually quite optimistic. It is actually one we could look forward to. I thought I'd bring a very optimistic one, and then a very optimistic projection, and then we'll bring about another projection that's kind of The advancement of technology could lead to the defeat of death, disease, cancer, biology, and long distances. Nanotechnology is becoming an ever-improving reality in our world, and this technology could have adverse implications on the future of our species. Nanotechnology and AI will enable molecular modification of the human body. Using nanotechnology, we could cure previously incurable diseases, modify genes to reduce risks of disease, cure genetic conditions, or even enhance positive or even negative human traits. We could even go as far as editing the entire human body into becoming not only a cyborg, but a full conscious computer. That is what I mean by defeating death. Nanotechnology could become the dominant contributor to the human experience. Of course, further developments are needed to do something like that. Of course, being humans and wanting to defeat death, of course, we're doing it. An example of an organization fighting for immortality would be the Moscow-based 2045 initiative. Founded by Russian billionaire Dmitry Itskov in February 2011, the organization focuses on enabling full human emergence with AI by the year 2045, hence the name. Other billionaires like Oracle's Larry Ellison, venture capitalist and investor Paul Glenn, PayPal co-founder Peter Thiel, Google's Sergey Brin, and of course, Elon Musk. They all want to defeat death, of course. So it seems fully conceivable that this is possible. All of these predictions are very radical. Let's just understand that. So the third prediction is not going to be as whack. It's going to be a little more like the kind of thing that you would expect to see. It's still going to be pretty crazy. Let's just say it that way. I can't explain how weird this century is going to be to you guys. I'm not a prophet, so I can't tell you exactly what's going to happen, but let's just say it's quite probable that this is going to be a very weird century. It's already been a very weird century, and we've only been through, 20 years of it? So, yeah, it's going to be a weird century. We're going to give a few specific categories that'll be major contributors to this century and the problems and solutions or whatever we may face this century. So we'll start off with climate change. Of course, as fossil fuel usage continues to increase, specifically as developing countries begin to industrialize, climate change and global warming will become even more pronounced. Like, we've already seen the crazy wildfires in California, Australia, the Amazon, even Africa. We've seen the 10 hurricanes and tropical storms, which is a record, to hit the United States in 2020. And we've also seen the consistent record-breaking temperatures and heat waves of Florida, California, pretty much everywhere in the world, let's be honest. Like, specifically, Antarctica had a 64-degree day last year and during the wintertime. That's really, really, really bad. It's really bad considering that it's consistently well into the negatives. But still, in the future, we should expect all of these to become even more pronounced. We will likely eventually curb our carbon emissions, but it's going to take a while. So I'm projecting that by the late 2050s, the developed world will have fully went 100% renewable. By the 2070s, all the developing countries will have become fully renewable. And this could result in a temperature increase anywhere from 2.4 degrees Celsius to 4.8 degrees Celsius. Right now, I think it's about 1 degree Celsius, but it's going to increase much faster because the carbon dioxide is already in the atmosphere now, and it just kind of keeps going because there's more light that's absorbed by the carbon dioxide because, of course, it's a greenhouse gas. Technological and medical advancement is another category. It will continue to advance and continue to increase pace. With a rate of advancement probably around 1,000 times faster, or even faster than that, than the last 5 years of the 20th century. Artificial intelligence will dominate the century. It can provide physicians with amounts of information no physician could learn in their lifetime. On top of this, ultra-accurate robo-physicians may perform life-saving surgeries, and nanotechnology can fight diseases at the molecular level. This, along with advances in possible universal vaccine development and cancer cure, years could result in a doubling of the human life expectancy in the 21st century. Of course, this being if we do not defeat death. It is reasonable to believe that the human life expectancy could increase at least 6 months every year in the 21st century. Right now, it is 3 months every year. With vast improvements in technology, life expectancy could easily increase to at least 120 by the end of the 21st century. But 150 to 200 years is still well within range if we do not defeat death. And we're going to talk again about AI. The last category will be AI. AI will play a significant role in society during the 21st century. We all know that. I mean, this is nothing new. Not only will AI be ever advancing, but it will also soon reach the singularity. If you do not know what the singularity is, it's basically the moment when artificial intelligence becomes so advanced that it completely overtakes the ability of the human mind. There is not a single supercomputer on the planet that is faster than the human brain. But once we reach that, we reach the singularity. And singularity, to reach the singularity, you require a conscience. So this computer will be conscious. The general predictions in the AI world is that will probably reach it the early 2020s or the late 2020s. 2027 is the average, is what the IT, the computer community believes. 2027, that is the year that I will graduate college. Once we reach the singularity, humans around the world will begin to merge with technology, even more so than we do now. That is why it is generally believed that reaching the singularity will be the single greatest and the very last human achievement. Of course, even after the singularity, we'll still need to advance our technology to be able to merge with computers. There are a multitude of ways we can do this. First, we can just replace every cell in the human body with nanotechnology and just basically make the person a robot. But we also have to retain the person's conscience, and we don't really know how to do that yet. This can be achieved by replacing every neural connection in the brain with nanobotic neural connections that match the full composition of the biological brain, thus allowing for a transfer of consciousness. Another way could be just simply mind uploading, but it can't be like making a copy. The singularity is near, but the technology to mind upload and transfer consciousness is still a ways away. It is certainly within realms that this can be completed by 2045, but it's possible that this won't even be achieved in the 21st century. It's possible that this never will be achieved in the first place. But either way, AI will play a significant role in the human experience this century. And yes, I get it. That means we're defeating death. That still means we're defeating death. But when it comes to AI, also think of distances, long distances. We won't have to live in the habitable region. We don't want to have to live in the habitable region of our solar system anymore. There's no point, right? Because we have no biological there's no biological necessity to do that. We don't have to we don't have to worry about gravity or anything. I mean, we'll have to worry about gravity, but it'll be different. Everything will be different. Let's just say it that way. 30,000 light years, if you're living for 10 trillion years, is probably not that bad. I mean, you're not going to be living for 10 trillion years, most likely, but a billion is certainly within realms, but 30,000 years, it's not that bad. I mean, the only thing you have to worry about is like the people that you love. Missing them for 30,000 years, you will probably have forgotten about them by then. We have no idea. This is really getting into some pseudoscience crap right here, so I'm just gonna bring it back. Anyways, defeating death will be the greatest achievement, along with the singularity we've ever made. And the singularity and defeating death are kind of intertwined. But yeah, it'll be the single greatest achievement humans ever achieve. We will and already technically have the technological capabilities to perform actions like this. It's just that we need to develop them still. We know how to do it, we just don't know how to make it. So it is fully conceivable that we can achieve all of this in our lifetimes, or we could just extinct ourselves. But yeah, anyways, these are only 3 of the probably 10 to the 75th power possible futures that humans could face just in the 21st century. Thank you all for listening to episode 2 of the YouTube series, Learning by William. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, or criticisms, or corrections, please comment in the comments below. Of course, please just comment below. I respond to all of them. I respond to all the comments, so don't worry, you will get responded to. So if you have any problems, any concerns, just comment. And if you want to be private, you can email me using the address in the description. Anyways, have a good morning, good evening, good afternoon, good whatever. Have a good whatever. Take care, everyone.